everybody. Welcome to Witches and Warlocks. You know, I have to say something crazy. Unexpected to shock your system. The Black Kid Witch.
I am Galactic Honey.
And we are here to have divine conversations around divine connections. And Galactic Honey 369 had a wonderful idea. She was like, hey, let's talk about that inner child work and divine connection. And so I'm gonna let her pretty much take over the conversation, and then I'm gonna jump in wherever I see it meshes with certain things that I've done. I have a bit of an idea where she may go with it, but I'm gonna go ahead and let her lay the foundation and the groundwork for the divine conversation on inner child work and divine connection.
Hi. Thank you all for joining. Whenever you see this out there in the multiverse, thank you for, just connecting with us and sharing your frequency with us. We adore you. Okay. But the reason why I thought this was a good topic was because the inner child work is so important. Not only when it comes to yourself, but also when it comes to your partner. You're not just nurturing one part of your partner, the masculine part, you're nurturing the all parts of him, the masculine, the feminine, and the inner child. And I recently had an experience where because I'm a napper, I tend to be up at night when I have to be at work early in the morning. So I started to meditate, and what came to me was the inner workings. I mean, working with the inner child in a way that um, might not be comfortable to you. I don't know about anybody else, but when I started to first work with my inner child, it was uncomfortable because I looked at the inner child as something that I really didn't need to work on because I didn't really have a hard childhood. I looked at it as something that, was separate from me. And so as I went along on my journey, I began to realize that I have gone through a lot of things. You can like kind of forget. And so I started to question, like, what have I really been through? What is it? Because it kept coming up. The inner child kept coming up everywhere. It just was coming up, coming up. And after I lost my mom, that's when I realized, okay, I have went through some things that I wouldn't say are traumatic, but I would say that had left an impression on me internally. So I started to think about that. I started to think about how my inner child, she wanted her mom, and I started to think about it not from the adult daughter perspective, but I started to think about it I started thinking about it in the inner child perspective, how my inner child wanted her mom. And me and one of my friends, we were talking about this last year where she lost her dad, I lost my mom. And so she was talking about how her inner child just is screaming out for her daddy. Like, I just really want my daddy. And I started thinking about that while I was laying there. All of these thoughts and memories were coming up of, how important the inner child is. And then I started to think about how one time before I had connected with the inner child of my children. Even though they are children, they still have that inner child energy, just like we are whole and complete. They are whole and complete as well, with masculine, feminine, and inner child energies. And so I connected with them, and they all stood in front of me, and they're talking to me about something completely different. But something just told me to go one by one and ask the inner child what it is that they need. What is it that she needs? What is it that he needs? And it was one answer, one all it took is like one answer, one word answers. And On some of them, it was like, they needed to burn more energy. He needed to experience more of family time, doing other things. One of my daughters. She's that inner child that screams out for her dad. She wants to be, she needs her dad, is what the inner child told me. Um, um, and the other children, my oldest daughter, she needed space. She needed her own space. And not only do I do this with the inner child, but I also do this with their higher selves as well. And so it brought me to that, and I was like, okay, what in this meditation, what are you asking of me? And then the picture of the time when I did one of Reiki Rachel's twin flame meditations, where you get in touch, where you actually get in touch with the inner child of your partner. And I started to think about that, and how his inner child was very like standoffish, um very like secretive, like, where my inner child was like screaming at me, like, help him, like, you need to help him. Is I couldn't hear words, but I could see her telling me that I needed to help him in some way. And she kept pointing at the inner child. And so in the meditation, it's like we're standing there together, and we're also standing there with our inner child children. And and we're basically connecting with the inner child and trying to see what the inner child needs. And I believe it was something about, let the inner child tell you a secret. So while my inner child is telling me you need to help him, his inner child is like, secretive. Like, and I was like, okay, so this is like basically told me that there's a part of him that hides something. I didn't know what it was. So when it came up this time, it was like I went on a kind of like a scavenger hunt in the meditation, and I was like, okay, let me go find him. You know what I'm saying? It's like playing a game, like a game of hide and seek. You know what I'm saying? And he's hiding. So I'm like, I kind of like go through this imaginary um like, I don't want to say a maze, but it kind of was like a maze, right? Where you're going through and you're looking to see. It's like I let my energy tell me, or my spirit tell me, where the inner child was hiding. And so once I got to this place, which I don't really know where in the body this energy is hiding itself, right? But it's a very dark place. Like when I reached this place, everything got darker. You know how you can see in the light, like when it's dark, you can still, once your eyes adjust, you can still kind of see. Well, this place I got to, it was completely dark. And so I started to like, feel around for him. And then I'm just like, I got you. Like that. I just imagined that I found him, right? This might sound crazy to a lot of people, but this stuff kind of works. This stuff really works, right? So I just was like, okay. And mentally, I already knew why he was hiding, because of the situation that my partner was just in. I kind of figured, you're gonna hide, especially when you're going through something that especially you somewhere you don't want to be, and you're going through, um, you having to put up a brick wall just to protect yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of just felt around. I was like, got you, like that. And I kind of imagined us playing around. And so then I started imagining like him chasing me. And then I kind of like stopped. And then I held out my arms like this. And I was like, like imagining that I was hugging him and giving him love and stuff like that. And energetically, what came after that, I kind of did that until I just completely went to sleep. I didn't even know I had fell asleep. Okay. So when I woke up the next day, I started to receive confirmation that what I did was something that really did help him, something that really did affect him in a way that, is not tangible. I can't touch, I can't, it wasn't something that I could say I did in the 3D. It was completely spiritual. So while bringing it up and doing that, it's kind of like you connecting on a level that other people can't connect on. It's harder for people who are not on this journey to do that type of work. Um, Especially, and you never really know what a person really needs. And at that moment, I felt like he needed a hug. I didn't like, try to take control over it. I just really allowed myself to flow through it. And the next day, not even almost kind of forgetting that I even did it because I woke up late. So I had to rush and get up and I had to do all these things and then head to work. So by the time I had gotten to work, I had already received like 3 synchronicities about what I had done the night before, whether it be through song, whether it be through something that you just tune into on the radio. It was just like it was a sign that said you are awesome. I was like, thank you. And then not only that, but the dream realm started to kind of, now in the dream realm, I have a I can sometimes have a little girl and a little boy. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of like starts to manifest itself in this realm of what I did in the spiritual realm. And I thought it was really important because I don't know what he has been through as a child. He's told me some things, but I don't know, really what he's been through as a child. So I felt like starting with, not really, I have been working with the masculine, the feminine energies, you know what I'm saying? But never really took the time to work with the child energy. And so that right there, it made me feel like I had kind of like released some type of block in, something that he may be going through, internally, which most likely it was something that's internal, that needs to be resolved. But the inner child also, it's like when your children are small, they don't just run up to anybody, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like I feel like the inner child is like that child that don't run up to that run up to everybody, because it's already like, it's like that protection that you get when like when my children, all of my kids did it. Like when anybody would come up to them, they would just start screaming. They would just be like, no, unless it was like family, somebody that was in the house with us. But other people outside of that, they were just like, no, no, no. And I felt like with that, by me doing that and really taking his inner child into consideration as him being a whole being, that just opened doors for him to heal things that need to be healed within himself, that may have just, been something that he just really needed at that moment, at that moment in time. That might be what his inner child needs to be able to trust.
Mason.
Girl, that's my sister.
I thought that was Mason.
She
Because
was
he
bringing my drink in. I don't know why she just didn't want to interrupt. But yeah, I feel like it it opens up new doors for him to be able to heal things from his childhood. But it's like I also gave him a safe place, gave the inner child a safe place to be able to trust me. Because I feel like, to trust somebody with your inner child, that's something. Just like being able to trust somebody with your own children. You don't let your children play with everybody. I look at it from a parent perspective, and I look at it from all types of perspectives when it comes to the inner child. That's all I got right now.
That's all I came to right now. And when I think of like inner child work, kind of like certain things that you hit on already, it's more so either suppressed energy, the protection for themselves as a more, mature or adult stage in
Mhm.
our life, that maybe we suppress that childlike energy. We suppress it, even that's why we have to go back and reprogram. Imagination and visualization is something that came easily as a child, but we started to suppress certain things. So even with the inner child work, I don't see it always as being something that some people may put off as like negative, but just
Mhm.
inner child work is just bringing back that inner child energy. Just
Mhm.
like you said, letting that inner child know that this is safe. You don't have to hide behind mama's leg or, scream because you're frightened. Like, this is a place where you can bring that back up once you have matured in a spiritual place within yourself. Then that inner child can freely balance out of all the energies that you work with, whether it's your ancestral energy, inner child energy, your higher frequency or higher self energy. Like, it'll be able to balance, wherever it's needed, because you do need that childlike, I would say, frequency as well when you go into creation in this 3D form. And if you are in a divine connection where your partner may not even be aware of them suppressing their inner child, or things that may have happened to them as a child, not being able to communicate effectively, being afraid to just completely be vulnerable and open with you, is because that inner child may have been hurt somewhere before, and it's a protection mechanism. So I'm going to suppress, me being free and open and, connected to you like a child, because there's an innocence to that. Like, most children do have an innocence of, hey, that's why people always say, here go a piece of candy, because that's like a lure to get the child to you, because they know that in the simplest minds, a piece of candy or something to eat that they like, they'll gravitate towards you,
Yeah.
and certain things that
That's
you
why I
did.
played the game. Tag your ex.
Yeah, playing little hand games, things like that. Like you was kind of like playing a hide go seek, kind of like I'm, get you, and then making like, okay, I'm here to protect you, but also I'm here to dig deeper into what my partner doesn't want or possibly want to uncover. But
Mhm.
not only that, it's like my inner child connecting with your inner child. Like, we're here to walk this walk together
They tell
through
each
all
other secrets.
stages. Hmm.
They tell each other secrets. Like
Yeah.
they tell each other like
Like, that's
they
creating a bond, like
Mhm.
that's creating that connection. From what we look at it from early stages of childhood, we look at it as early stages of life. So even just doing that, like, I'm able to build up this connection with you. I'm able to build a relationship, a rapport with his child and my child. So not only can we like share, but we can play, we could connect, we can, secrets that you may have withheld from everybody else, you'll be able to tell me, and then we'll be able to grow from there. But if you have someone who may not even be aware, like you did, may not even be aware, may not even be on a conscious level right now to even think about inner child healing or inner child anything for that matter, they're stuck in possibly just what needs to happen here in this 3D form. So if they're stuck in what needs to happen here in this 3D form, then no, ain't no way in hell they're gonna be thinking about inner child work. But that's where the divine connection and the spiritual evolution comes in, because you have a partner who is more evolved, who can see deeper than just one aspect or one dimension of a person, and be like, hey, I know there's several layers to this physical being, to this
Mhm.
energy connection or energy exchange that we have, and it's a part that needs a deeper connection to me, so we can either evolve, move forward, or I can help you with healing, or I can help you telepathically, like I can help you energetically in a dream state or in astral travels. If you're trying to manifest this, if you're trying to have that, like me creating this inner child bond helps to, I would say, increase our bond in all areas, energetic from
Mhm.
higher self, because you can connect, like you said before, higher self to higher self. I can connect with
Mhm.
you inner child to inner child. I can
Mhm.
connect with you ancestral energy to ancestral energy. All of it is the same, but it's like, okay, which part of this have you not really done the work in? And start
Yes.
at the foundational level. It's like, okay, let's start with the child, because in this reality, that's the first stage of life for us. First stage
Mhm.
of life for us is child. So we'll call that foundational energy as that child. Because you're an adult now, you're mature, we call it inner child, because you're not an outer child anymore, because you're an adult. We look at you
Yeah.
as a mature, or you should be adult like, or young adult, wherever you are in your stage. So you're not the same. You could be 25, you don't look the same as you did when you was 5 years old. You shouldn't even be acting the same, but you may have suppressed that 5-year old energy that may have happened to you when you 5 years old, the way your mama may have screamed at you, or the way your stepfather probably beat you, or the way your teachers probably talked down about you and not giving you a chance. You not feeling like you good enough, like somewhere within, that child, that 0 to 8 years old, like these different things were downloaded into your mindset. And that's why it's always good, like they always talk about, reprogramming the subconscious mind, because in those stages from 0 to 8, most of those years, sometimes you may not even recall until you go into deep states of transcendental meditation. And if you don't recall that, and it's kind of like, okay, well, how can I heal something that I don't even recall, that I have suppressed and is laying dormant in me for so long? So then you have this partner who can go in through different layers of this form that we can't see spiritually. There's so many layers outside of what the physical eye can see. So I'm going in on a whole nother level of where you are in that inner child healing stage of what you did, surpasses physical form, even surpass even telepathically, because telepathic is kind of like mind to mind here in this stage, and then went all the way to where that childhood, and even like in the dark, like you were saying, like it was in the dark, like that just lets me know how deep in the subconscious mind, like when it's dark or it's watery, that's
Mhm.
like so deep in the subconscious mind that you get to, that maybe that inner child felt safe there. It was a
Mhm.
movie, one of the movies that I think you had me watch. I can't even remember, but I think it was Felicia Rashad was in it. She was a doctor. She was trying to help her son. She wanted to use somebody else's mind to bring
Yeah.
back into this reality. And when that man got in there, something felt weird, because he was in complete darkness. Like it was so deep in his
Mhm.
subconscious mind. It was so deep in his mind that it wasn't even anything physical around. Like it was straight up darkness. And when you were
Mhm.
sharing it, like that's what I was thinking about. It reminded me of that movie. I can't even think of the name of the movie.
I can't
But
think of the name of it either.
uh-huh.
I can't think of the name of it either. But he
Okay.
was he was the guys whose body he took over. I mean, the guy whose body, whose consciousness, I mean, whose body she put his consciousness
That's just
in,
in. Mm-hmm.
was haunting him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he had to like, it's like, it's almost like a mushroom trip, or a trip where you have to face your fears. And
Mm-hmm.
the man was faceless, and he was able to move his body in all different types of ways, and he kept running from it. And then finally he said that he was going to, actually open the door and go out of the door.
Mm-hmm.
And before he could get past the door, every time he tried to go towards the door, that's when the figure would come in. And the last time he tried, the man instantly, he started to see the man clearer, and he started to see that the man really wasn't trying to scare him. He was trying to ask him for help,
Yeah,
like, because he wasn't dead.
exactly.
He
His man
wasn't.
was still alive.
Yeah, his ass was, his consciousness was still in there, but
Mm-hmm.
she tried to like implant the other man's consciousness into him, which it kind of like a system overload almost.
Yeah, and she was trying to do it at the same time where the brain was still active, but she
Mhm.
didn't totally cut off the other subconscious mind while she was trying to integrate
Because he
her
wasn't dead, he
son's
was
mind.
still
So both
alive.
of them had living subconscious mind, like
Mhm.
battling for a space.
Yeah.
And they really didn't know the manipulation that she was going into it and scientifically, like nobody really knew what was going on. And of course he was like actually seeing himself as one person, but in the
Mhm.
mind, like you somebody else. But that's what I
Mhm.
was thinking about when you talk about the inner child, because it's kind of like I'm an adult, like you see me as this adult, but
Mhm.
inwardly, excuse me, in my subconscious mind, there is an inner child. There is a younger self of me when brought into this reality, or not even. Sometimes, like you was talking about, even with the children, it could be from past lives of energy that hasn't been worked through and things that's needed where children can be able to express. And you'll be like, damn, you're a child. Like, how are you sharing this and you still like 6 years old? You still are a
Mhm.
child. Like, how can you talk to that? But it's kind of like, okay, energies don't die. Like, we still had these memories from past lives that can resurrect themselves in this reality as well, and we can speak for that, and we can speak on that, because our whole part of being here is for us to heal all timelines of existence as well, and
Mhm.
have these experiences, not
Yeah.
just for this reality that we currently see in a 3D or solid form. Like, there's been other experiences in other dimensions and timelines that while we're here in this form we work on, and when we're in those other experiences we work on. But I feel like when we have somebody like you did, like as a partner, it just makes it like even stronger, and things get to move faster when we're talking about time,
Mhm.
when you're working partnered up with someone else and you're not just trying to do it by yourself. Because who knows, like you said, you just had confirmations and music and things that are going on, that what you did is kind of it's really beyond even talking about a romantic connection. Like, it's
Mhm.
go that's
It's
why we talk
intimacy.
about these are divine conversations around divine connections, because it doesn't even matter about the romanticism of the connection. This is more so of the divine energy of the connection, and how, whether here in this reality or beyond, when he experiences transitional existences, then what you've done here foundationally with that inner child and the ancestry or the DNA of who he is and that inner child, like, it goes past any time here in this reality. Like, it goes way past that. Like, it is reconstructing time as we know it, not just in this reality, but in all these different existences, by you just tapping into that timeline and that inner child here. But if it makes sense, like, it's like you're really connecting with all aspects of him
Mhm.
everywhere, because it was energetic healing, it was energetic safety, it was energetic protection, it was energetic bond creating. And when it's doing that, it's not just the physical form, like me not having a conversation with my partner, like right now, he was sitting here right now, like we having a conversation, work like that creates one level. But when
Mhm.
we go outside of physically talking, and then when it goes into like an astral, or my astral body connecting with his astral body, that's a whole nother level that's beyond this realm. Like, I don't, whenever, and it's just my perspective, whenever I connect with someone outside of this 3D physical form and I do it in astral travel, like, I'm
Mhm.
knowing that I'm connecting in so many different existences. I'm connecting and repairing or creating. We don't know which one we're
Mhm.
doing. It just depends on what's going on. You could be creating, you could be repairing, you could be mending, you could be just all different types of things when you're connecting with someone's astral body in the astral realm. So what you were doing like transcends like a physical form connection, and it's on a higher frequency than
Mhm.
us having, like we've talked before, about conversations, how you need to talk to your divine partner and divine mate, and all of that should be worked out. But then once you get to a level on your path, just like you just shared, Galactic Honey just shared, like you'll be able to go deeper than just having this verbal communication. Because like I feel like even this verbal communication is such a lower form.
Mhm.
Like even having that connection where you did with him, I don't even feel like there were words involved. I feel like you're interpreting to us what the words would have been
Yeah,
in
it's hard
a,
to it's
so
hard
we
to
can
put in the word.
understand. Yeah, so we can understand the work that really was done. But when we're talking, this is actually translation, like we talked about last week. We're actually
Mhm.
translating to you what happened in the astral plane that really wasn't even words at all,
Mhm.
but we have to give it to you in words so you can kind of understand the dynamic of the energy exchange, because we read energy. It's almost like you reading a book and you can read word for word. Like when you go in the astral plane, like things will occur and happen. There are no words really. It's almost just straight up telepathic communication, vibrational communication at all times. But when you're so sensitive to it, then you wake up and you know how to interpret it. You know what words to put with it, and it's an automatic interpretation. Just like when you see, like I used to see all the time, you'll see out, a Hispanic and a Hispanic child, and they the interpreter. As soon as Mama say something, like the Hispanic child
Yeah.
just on site. Like that's what it is. Like that's what we're doing
Yes.
in the dream realm when we come out of the astral plane, and we're communicating that to you of what we did, like what she did with that inner child work. That's instantaneous interpretation of what happened from a telepathic communication on a higher realm.
Mhm. And it's just like what you were just saying about the Hispanic parent and the Hispanic child. That Hispanic child is just like your inner child. Your inner child is the interpreter in a lot of situations, and you don't even realize it. Like
Yeah.
it's the what you don't understand, the inner child can understand, and that's it. And it is like a language barrier when you are an adult. And I can see this sometimes play out in my own children, things that I will be term like going through internally. They will, like, one time I was like, I was wondering, like, why the hell am I eating so much? And I was thinking to myself, this was like when I first started my spiritual journey. And I was like, why? I just kept asking the question, why am I eating so much? It was like I was eating and I could not get full. And I'm just like, why am I eating so much? Like, this don't make sense. Like, why do I want food like this? And my son, I said it in front of my son, right? At the time, he couldn't have been no older than probably about 6 years old. He's 8 now. He'll be 9 this year. And he was like, Mama, the more you know, the more you eat. And I was like, and I had been intaking so much knowledge. Like I had been listening to things, I had been learning things, I had been so basically I was using the food as fuel, like to keep fueling me up. But he was like, Mama, just the more you know, the more you eat. And he paused, like, get it? And I was like, you're some kind of smart. He calls himself an old man all the time. He
Little
said, I'm
wizard.
gonna be the old man. This Omari. He's like, I'm gonna be the old man. He was like, he even said that for Halloween. He was like, I'm gonna be an old man for Halloween because he really does feel. He knows that he has an old soul. But it just, I'm just like, okay, so that inner child, that child was the interpreter for what I was actually going through at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's just like that. A lot of times you're going through things and you don't know what's going on, or you're not like familiar with what's going on. Even though the inner child internally is the young spirit, it actually is old. You know what I'm saying? It's actually learned a lot from listening to you, listening to the people around you. It's able to take in a lot of information that you might not can't understand at the time, or maybe can't, you don't have the capacity to understand or to even get, just like parent, the older you are, the harder it is to learn a new language. You know what I'm saying? Which makes sense why the child is the interpreter. And so that's a really good, that was a really good example of that, because that is exactly what is happening. His inner child, just like when I'm going in with the inner child, I'm not going in to get information. I'm not going in to poke and pry at the inner child for the inner child to tell me what it's been through and what's going on with my masculine. And I'm not doing that. I'm merely going in to be a support system for that child in the time that it needs me. I wasn't just sent there because the inner child somehow called me. And that's how I feel like I knew what to do when it came to playing. Like, Tag, you're it. You know, that inner child wants to know that, like, it's kind of like them receiving, like, okay, she got the message. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't that, it might not need anything from me at that in any time, but it might just be the fact that it needed it just wanted my presence. It wanted to play, and where they are at the moment, they can't play. You know what I'm saying? Where they are at the moment, they can't play. So, I just stepped in as a placeholder, holding space, and just, went to play. Um, he might have just needed a hug. You know what I'm saying? These things happen. There's a call that happens that allows you to be able to do these things. Not that you can't just do them on your own, but I was called into that meditation. Just like, when you come home and you really need to take a nap, you tired, like you tired to where you don't want to do shit else. You just want to go take a nap, and you take a nap and you have the most vivid dream. You have the most, like, it gives you, it's jam packed. You've been asleep for a couple of hours, and it's jam packed with all of these messages that you have to put together. You know what I'm saying? But it was very vivid. That's how I feel like that's us being called into dream state, like you said before, to do the work. And so that's where I was called to do work at that time. Um, it's a way of holding space. It's a way of giving intimacy on levels that we are not normally privy to giving intimacy. Just like I always say, intimacy into me, see. And so that's how I feel like, sometimes you can't just work on the outside and expect for everything to always be okay. Sometimes as divine feminines and divine masculines, we have to go within our partner as well. Like, they have given us the access to do these things, to help them out in certain things. I remember one time I just was washing dishes and I just felt like crying. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why do I feel like I want to do a ugly cry? Like, I just feel like I want to, like, really real, like, ugly cry. So I kind of got through it through the dishes, but then I went into my room and I'm talking about, I just started crying, and I'm just like, what is wrong with me? So I had to go around the house to check on my people. I'm like, are you crying? And my sister was like, no, I'm not crying, sister. And I'm like, okay, well, who is crying? Like, whose energy is this? Because I could feel, like, the pain in the body. Like, I could feel it. And it was like, it was almost like it was mine. And I didn't know, like, I had been suppressing it. And I didn't know where it had came from. And my partner called me 2 days after that, and he was like, man, you won't believe what happened to me. And I was like, it was you. And he said it probably was, because I really wanted to cry. I really did. I really wanted to cry. And I was like, it was you. So it was like, in that moment, he was able to transfer an emotion to me that he couldn't give at the moment, but I was able to get it out for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, these things that we do are not only magical, but these are literally, like, we are literally helping each other to heal in ways. We are literally helping each other. Like, I wouldn't promote a partner putting their emotions off on you all the time, or like constantly transferring emotions to you. But I would say that if you like I would say that if you are there to help, like a helpmate, you are there to help your partner too. I hate the word helpmate. I don't know why, but I don't like it. It just makes me feel in a box. I don't know what that mean. Like I don't know, but helpmate irritates my soul a little bit. But that kind of like what it's like my soul partner, things that he's not able to maybe deal with right then in that moment, he transferred it to me to let me know that something was going on, but also so that I could get it out. So now it's not a suppressed emotion. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that he actually suppressed. He was able to get it out. He just got it out through a different vessel, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So working with our partners is very, in those ways, can be very powerful. Um, but you should always have boundaries. I will say put your boundaries up, but I wouldn't say not allow. Don't put them up so high to where you don't even allow yourself to experience what all of this actually like actually is, how like real deal. If you're gonna experience the divine partnership, be all in with it, because you never know what you are called to do in the moment that you are called to do it, but believe that you can do it. You know, I've never had like to be guided into most of the things that I've had to do within this divine partnership. I haven't had a teacher. I haven't had like I've had people on YouTube that can come that might give me a piece of the puzzle, but the real work that we do literally comes from intuition and paying attention to what your body is telling you, and really being in tune with yourself, because when you're not in tune with yourself, you can't be brought into these spaces. You know, I had to force myself into silence in order to receive that and be able to get it. Like I stay up and I just be flicking through YouTube. If I, if I can't find nothing, then I look at the time like, oh, I need to go my ass to sleep. You know what I'm saying? But there's sometimes where something just say, turn it off, connect. And I do those things, and here I am finding myself inside another vessel, you know, connecting with an energy that may feel like it's being neglected. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not by choice, but just by the things that are going on in the 3D, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I know we hadn't talked about it on Witches and Warlocks yet, but I'm gonna tap into it just a little bit because in these connections, you'll just like in your spiritual journey, you'll have times where, and you just hit it dead on the nose, where, okay, I just need to be in silence. Like, I don't need to talk to anybody. I don't need to go out. I don't need to watch TV. I need to clean up my diet. I need to, you'll have times spiritual journey where, hey, I'm at my altar, then you're away from your altar. It's a journey, and you're intuitive about what is needed to move yourself higher when you want a higher vibration, or you're trying to call in more of a knowing, or decalcify the third eye, whatever you're working on doing. Like, you'll be guided intuitively to make these necessary changes, or move in these necessary steps, or join various groups, or read different books. Like, you'll be guided. What is it that I need now? So I'm saying that because it goes the same way in the divine connection. Like, there'll be times where you'll be guided, like, hey, I do need separation from my connection right now in order to move my connection forward. You
Mm-hmm.
got to know what those messages are, what those actions are, so you can adhere to it. You also got to know, like, hey, I have to stop being intimate and having sex with my partner right now. Like, I got to listen to that. I got to know,
Mm-hmm.
even though you may not understand it, because I went through it and I didn't understand why I would.
too.
take, like, no, like we would have spurts where I'd be like, no, we can't have sex right now. Like, I need time. I don't need to have
Mhm.
sex with you right now. Then we'll go back, and then I'd come back again and be like, hey, I don't need to have sex right now. Like, and it was all leveling up my frequency, but at the same time it was also getting him in alignment for
Yeah.
who I am. Like, you can't just, and it was making me more aware of different things, like, because even though we're spiritual and we're still 3D, so the disconnect from this realm, being in it and not of it, making sure that you're not so deep into, I would say, the sensory aspects of this reality, that you're
Mhm.
not so connected to the sensory gratification of the orgasm. You're not so connected to the sensory gratification of food. You're not so connected to the sensory gratification of social media and TV. Like, that's why you have to disconnect in order to reconnect, because you don't want to be so deep into this 3D reality that you lose connection with your higher spiritual plane. Like, you can't hear, you can't see, you can't really understand why things are happening to you. Be like, okay, let me take a step back. Let me see what is really going on. Let me step outside of this. And so, in a relationship and your divine connection, those certain things will happen. Now, when you release it and you take time off, whatever that time off looks like, spirit will let you know. I would tell him sometimes, like, I don't even know. Like, I can't even tell you when. It'll be timelines, and then it'll go past that timeline. Like, I don't even know. Like, we can't do anything. And
Mhm.
then I'll be back into it and I'm okay. But you always know you've leveled up in a sense, and you'll be able to see and intuit different things. And that's where it comes into it, even with this inner child work. Like, doing that is not something in a stage of a connection that you probably could do initially, until you've laid some groundwork within
Mhm.
the connection for yourself, and that, because inner child is a level of intelligence. Like, the
Mhm.
inner child is a level of the intelligent mind. So I don't want you all to think about anything separating from it. It's just intelligent part of the mind that can be suppressed, or um I would say that may have been left off at a certain point in the growth of the person. So, just for instance, this is what is coming to me. So, just like the work that you just stated that you did with him, in the inner child work, like that, going back to it, it wasn't for any specific time. Like, what you did could have went back to him when he was 7. You could have been healing something that happened within his mindset and intelligence at the age of 7, but also is going to be reflected in where he is now as an adult. But you were able
Mhm.
to, like, cross over time. Like, you were able to go here. It's almost like, hey, like Back to the Future. Like, I can go back in time. I
Mhm.
can work on this and help heal this. And then when I wake up, it's reflected right now in this dimension. Like, you can even do that for yourself. Like, you can go back to yourself when something has happened to you, or you can go back, like I've done it in the astral plane. You can go back in a certain situation, instances in your life, and you can make a different, like, move that you wouldn't have, that you didn't make before previously, and you
Mhm.
can actually heal that timeline. Then you wake up and you step into this dimension, and you shifted, and now things here are different based on
Mhm.
what you did by you quantum jumping back and forth doing that healing. Now
Mhm.
you're able to move different, and that's what's going on, because the inner child is a level of intelligence. It is a frequency. So you go raise that frequency of that child there from where it is, and start to allow it to go up to match where you are now. And
Mhm.
then you'll start to see it. And sometimes, based on where the person is, it may not be instantaneous. But like you
Mhm.
said, you receive messages and music and stuff that you said, like you have
Mhm.
received messages knowing that, okay, the work that I did there it did
It was
take,
received.
it was
Mhm.
it did
Yeah,
take.
that's all that matters is if it was received. I don't
Yeah,
have to see it.
you
I just
got to
need to know
see
that
it.
it was received. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it took, like it was received. Like what I
Mhm.
did is actually, so now I know it's just not me trying to like mind fuck myself. Like actually this shit
Mhm.
did work. And now I know I'm just looking to when it's gonna play out. Cause even here, like sometimes things wavelengths frequencies can be a little bit slower here in this reality than it is there
Right.
to catch up with the alignment, especially of the person, depend upon if they're doing the work or not. Because sometimes if they're not doing as much work, it may take it a little bit longer for that alignment to catch up. And there's something else that you said about don't lose yourself. You have to set boundaries, but also you have to be, like you said, free within the connection.
Mhm.
But that comes with time too, because when you first get with somebody, like you ain't gonna throw all your witchcraft on the table. Like you're gonna be like, boom, here, like break
Yeah.
it, do
Take
this.
it, take it. You get
Yeah,
this.
you're not gonna you're gonna be intuitive, and like you said, you're gonna be guided. Like the other day I had to do moxibustion on my connection on him, and I also had to do some reiki. And I don't do reiki on anybody but people are really close to me, so it meant something for me to do it on him early in the morning. I said, lay down, breathe, relax before you start your day. Let's set this energy for your healing. Like, let me work my energy with your energy. And
Mhm.
so, whatever blocks that's going on, let's start working on removing this pain so you don't have this. So, we have to work together. And so, like I told you all last week, like I constantly say, work together, teamwork, partnership. Like these are words that I'm constantly using so he gets in alignment, whatever work that I may have to do spiritually. Like I've never done any inner child work specifically with his inner child. But if it gets to a point where I have to go into the astral plane to do that, like I've already worked on his subconscious mind to know teamwork, partnership, connection.
Mhm.
So it won't be like a disconnect if I get to him in the astral plane having to do this. Like it's already gonna be ingrained in him to be like, oh, we're in a connection, we're in a partnership, we're a teamwork. Like this is something that I'm making it be integrated in him. So these are things that you all have to do. First, the foundation, like you gonna have to go on periods of not talking to them. You gonna have, that's just part of, you gonna have to go on periods of not having sex with them. You gonna have to go on these spurts of just disconnecting. Like that, it's you, it sounds like how can I, like last week we was talking about open conversations and then checking up on you every day, but before you get to that stage, like I still wholeheartedly believe in that, but before you can get to that stage in your connection too,
Mhm.
sometimes you got to reflect and look back on where is this going. If you don't have clarity in where you're going spiritually and where the connection is going spiritually, and then sometimes it's just for your higher self alignment. Sometimes you just need alignment and you need clarity on your
Mhm.
next move in this spiritual journey, because everything is all about the evolution, spiritual evolution of self, spiritual evolution of your partner. So if you don't have clarity on like, okay, I know my partner needs this, I know my partner needs that, sometimes you'll have to step out of it. And I know I've stepped out of it a lot. That's why I'm sharing it, because I'm like, I've had to disconnect a lot. I had to be the one to say, hey, I'm not taking this no more. Like, I need to do that. I was the partner that said, hey, we're not having sex right now. Like, I need to step out. And it wasn't anything that he did. It
Mhm.
wasn't like he was talking to other women or he was blowing out all the
That's
time.
who is
He
me.
was treating me bad and he was talking bad.
Mhm.
He wasn't doing anything. Like, I don't want you all to think like, hey, I stepped. No, it was a step out for us spiritually. Like, I was adhering to what my higher self was telling me of removing myself from sexual energy because I'm getting connected to sensory connections and I don't need to be connected to and be pulled to just the sensory pleasures, that I need
Mhm.
to be hearing from higher self. So now when I go back into the connection and I do have that sensory connection, it's balanced with that intuitive connection. So I'm not
Mhm.
completely pulled into the sensory, that I still can hear. But sometimes before we have that balance, and if we don't have that balance initially, then you have to create that first. You have to
Mhm.
build that divine connection here first. Let this build up. Let me constantly build this up And then
Mm-hmm.
once it's built up so much strong, then yeah, okay, I'm good to come back in. We can have sex, we can enjoy each other, but then I'm still having these divine messages that's coming to me about, hey, he needs Reiki right now. Or,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I know I need to go and do this. I need to go pour this water on my hands 3 times, step outside with no shoes, come back, whatever it is. I mean, who
Mm-hmm.
knows? Sometimes things seem like just really outlandish and it don't even matter, but you'll
Yeah.
be guided to do those things because those things are, call it which one, whatever, hoodoo, spiritual practices, but it's connected to divine energy that's using the elements here in this realm to bring forth some type of change or manifestation or healing for both you and your partner.
Yeah. And you want to think of your partner's inner child as your child too. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like you have your own child within you,
Mm-hmm.
once you enter into these divine connections, now your inner child and his inner child or her inner child is now your child too. You're nurturing that inner child. You're giving that inner child what it is that it needs. It's not like you are, you know, trying to um like in any way um what is it called? In like intrude on their privacy or whatever it is that is within them. You are just basically nurturing that inner child because it's just like when you have a partner that hasn't been in connection with their inner child, that partner could be angry. That partner could be um just unhappy with life all the time. That partner might not play, like may not even give the inner child any room to do anything. You know what I'm saying? And by you just nurturing that inner child, what happens in the 3D when you're doing it spiritually, what happens in the 3D is now you see that your partner is more playful. I know that my partner loves to hear me laugh. He loves when, even if I'm mad at him, if I start laughing, get back out of here. Mom, okay, go out of here. Mm-hmm. No, don't get no cookie. Just close it down. This the juice? Yeah. All right, that's Mason. No matter how many times I say stay out of my room, it still comes back. So, um, where was I? So, like, you interacting with that inner child spiritually, what happens on the physical plane is that he plays more. My partner loves to hear me laugh. He knows if he can get me to laugh, that I'm not gonna be mad at him much longer. You know what I'm saying? So he loves to get that playful. You start to see that the inner child is kind of interacting with each other. You know what I'm saying? Because even like a child could be upset and you can be like, what are you upset for? Why are you mad? And then you start to tickle the little child, and then all of a sudden it starts to giggle, and then completely forgot about why it's upset. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the inner children, they have an inner bond that they have already built within each other way before, you have even really thought about their inner child. I believe like the inner children are the ones that bring you together kind of in a playful way, because I remember when we first met, it was just like I would laugh all the time. He would always make me laugh. But I understood as I continued on the journey that the inner child, he can put it away. He can be very, stubborn or very, um serious, at times. And he would put the inner child away. If something triggers him, it's like I have to sit there and like really be like, okay, that's the inner child trigger. That's something that has happened to him before. The reason why, like, because he loves children. Like, he loves children. He loves to protect children. He doesn't like for people to mistreat or mishandle children. Like, that's one of the best aspects about him is that he loves children. And so that just tells me that he wants to do the work. He wants that inner child healing, even if he's not saying it out of his mouth, even if he's not even aware that he has an inner child. There's something within him that has that connection to children. So it's his way. I feel like it's his way, his way of not completely disconnecting from the inner child. Like, he doesn't like he you can give him a problem about that's happening with your child, and he can come up with a solution, but his solution is going to be so gentle. It's going to be so, like, and so it kind of taught me how to handle his own inner child. Like, I have to be gentle. Like, I have to watch the words that I say, because things trigger him, and you're not trying to trigger. It's not like he'll trigger and then he'll be mad, but I can tell that he's speaking from a triggered place. You know what I'm saying? So it allowed me to understand how to communicate with the inner child, to be more playful when I'm, communicating to him about things that are serious, or not even really not taking everything so seriously as well. Because just like children, how children, they say the darndest things, they'll just say things and you'll be like, now why did you say that out loud in front of all these people? you know and you'll be like they listen to everything. It's just like how the inner child works within your person. That inner child is listening to everything that is going on, and it sometimes can say the darndest things, things that will come out but won't come out in a way that you feel like they should come out, but they'll come out in a more immature way, I would say, because children, a lot of times don't have boundaries. Have you ever seen the video where the lady was like, she was like, how do you see me? And she was like, you fat, you know. Now,
Just
we don't condone those types of conversations, but it's just an example of how the inner child is working through the masculine energy. Will say things that maybe they hadn't thought all the way through, but maybe it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? You're just speaking their truth. And I feel like the inner child does bring out, when you are connected to the inner child, it does bring out a lot of harsh truths. Children can be harsh, but they just telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? So I have learned how to recognize that and laugh, like, not be serious with it, but to just laugh about it. And then there you go. You find both of y'all are just laughing about it. And it could be anything. It could be something that you come back to. And then you're like, you know what? That was real fucked up what you said. You know what I'm saying? But I know what place it came from. It came from the inner child. It's like, I'm just telling you the truth. Like,
mm-hmm.
it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? The inner child is gonna tell you the truth. So working with the inner child, you now are working with the softer masculine. He's not so, hard, or just saying anything. I know that I have been told, even when I got my when I joined the ELA and I got my destiny reading, I was told, like, people are not ready for your truth. So you just can't just go around. See, my masculine mirrors to me. I can be very truthful and be looking at you like, don't you know that already? Like, you know this already, especially with people who come to me spiritually, because a lot of people want you to babysit them, and they want you to sugarcoat, and they want you to, be gentle with them, when sometimes people just really need to hear the truth. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to snap out of the illusion and really just hear truth. Like, and that's not always easy. And I have gotten doses of my own medicine, but it's just a mirror effect of what is going on within me. You know what I'm saying? Things that I know people that may not be ready for, but they have to hear it. And when my masculine mirrors that back to me, I love it. You know, I even though I hate it, I don't like it. I'm not gonna say I hate it, but I know that this is a time for me to learn something about myself and to readjust myself and to heal something within me that feels like I have to bring truth like that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's another way my inner child works. Like my inner child would just say the truth, but like, don't you know that already? Like I'm, you know, not trying to be mean. You know, I'm still smiling. And when I say it, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not trying to be mean, but some things that you have to say so that it can create that fire within a person to um transform or transmute that energy into something more um beautiful in their lives. And I feel like that's where the inner child helps us, that creative energy, that childlike energy. We can create so many things just with the inner child energy alone. The inner child helps you to be able to see how bright the colors are. You know, it just, it's a beautiful energy to be in and to experience. Like, I don't get out much, but to see my kids happy when I take them somewhere, like that just lights me up. That makes me feel like I did my inner child a favor. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing with my children. I'm all that incredible piece of riding the rides with their ass. Like I'm playing the go-karts too. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't gonna rob my inner child of feeling that, you know, just being in that experience with this other children that it plays with on a regular basis, you know.
Yeah, and that's the inner child healing work too. Like just to be able to just be a child still as an
Mm,
adult and just have all those fun experiences.
yeah.
Because we'll do that too. Like we'll go to main event and we like to compete against air hockey. We
Yeah.
like to play, like he think he the cornhole king. Like, even with bowling, like we bowl every Wednesday, like we competitive and just having fun, like childlike fun, and it don't have to, it could be just like when it snowed, like we playing Uno, you know what I'm saying? Like we
Yeah.
just Uno and we gonna bet if you lose, you gotta run outside in the snow, do push-ups, it was just doing things like that, like that stuff that you do as a child, so it's getting you back into that childlike energy too in this 3D form where they're still doing some inner child work because you're able to not be so serious. Sometimes we have to not be so serious all the time. And then I know, like, when it's inner child work that he does on me, he'll always be like, oh, okay, what does Lil Dina want? Like he'll talk directly to my inner child and call her little. So I'll just be like, okay, when he
That's
say it's
powerful.
it's so funny because he does it and I know it's like his higher self doing it because it's so
Yeah.
funny. Because I'll be about to throw a tantrum or something because I'm not getting my way. And then, okay, well, Adina need, well, Adina won't, well, look, and he'll just call me that. And then I have to reflect and be like, okay, what's going on here? Like, why am I acting like this? Like, what is it that I really need? And I've shared with him before. I'm like, sometimes when I'm upset, like, with you, like you said, if he makes you laugh, you good. Like, you ain't gonna think about it. And I tell him, I just need safe touch.
Mm.
Sometimes for me, it's just safe touch. Like if you grab me and say, come here and give me a hug or rub me in my arm or something and be like, calm down. Like, I don't know why you so upset. Like that right there can just blast away any type of elevation of a discussion that we are about to have and calm it all
Mhm.
the way down to nothing. And I said, sometimes I just continue to pick because I want you to feel how I'm feeling and I'm just upset and I want you to be upset, which really I ain't got nothing to be upset about, but you're not feeling the way I'm feeling. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make you feel the way I feel. And
Yeah.
all of this can be wiped
Yeah.
away with safe touch. And I tell him, if you just give me safe touch, and you just grab me and say, "Come here, calm down, lay next to me. We've been watch this movie." I said that can clear out everything, and it's so simple. But I had to share with him. I said, "You got to learn." I said, "You have to learn how to maneuver as the masculine." I was like, and you got to know my energy and how to be able to maneuver. I said, I know it's not things you're going to know overnight. So that's why I'm trying to teach you. Like, if I do this, this is what you need to do. And you need to be able to do it on instantaneous, and sometimes you have to teach your partner. They may not always get it. And if you know, and this comes with maturity of knowing who you are. Because if you don't know who you are and what you need, you ain't gonna be able to share that with your partner. Because it's gonna turn into more of a heated argument and more of it, and it's just gonna keep on escalating. But if you know who you are and you're not dwelling in your ego, where you can share it to minimize elevations into arguments, from discussion to arguments, then just tell them, like, hey, this is like, I tell them, I just really want you to be mad because I'm mad because that, and that's really all it is. Like, I ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
It make no sense, and it don't. And you can call me crazy here, but all you got to do is this, then the third, and then I'll be fine. So next time this happen, this is all you got to do, right? Yes. Now you understand. Okay,
Yeah.
get it. I'm giving you the blueprint. So sharing that, and that's still an inner child work that I have to do with me, because I told him, yeah, I want your full attention. I want you to, everything is about me. I said, and yes, that goes to childhood, because my daddy did that for me. I was like, that's part of being a child growing up, that my father gave me a lot of attention. My father would give me those things that I need. I had a father that was there and a family that was there. And so I look for that to be mimicked with my partner, and even some of those same attributes that my father carries, I look for that, and he carries a lot of those same attributes that my father has. So I can end up going into that inner child mode, and then he'll talk to that inner child, and then I get to reflect and be like, okay, where am I right now? What do I need to do and adjust and get out of this energy right now? It's really not even anything he can do, but he's bringing awareness by calling you that, so you can be able to look at it, reflect on it, and be like, okay, I'm acting like a child here, but why am I? Why am I needing this? Why am I acting like this? And then be able to reflect on that and be like, okay, it's not you. It's still on me. I'm still working on, like I tell him, I'm like, nothing. It's still me. I'm still working on myself. Just let it go. Just leave me alone. Just let me figure this out. And then let him go ahead with whatever he's doing. But I will step into that inner child in the 3D form. But it's good when both parties can start to recognize it in either one of them and start helping doing the work, so you don't dwell in that place, but you elevate out of that place.
And to put them in a put them in a position, like making it a safe place for you as well to be able to be that way. You have to feel safe. You don't do that just with everyone. You have to feel safe in that space to even, like, it was a long time before I even let my partner see me cry. Like, it was a long time before I was vulnerable with him in that way. Um and especially if it was something that he did. I did. Like, I used to live in a world where I would be like, I don't let a motherfucker see me break. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to look at crying as if it was a weakness. But and me being a water sign, it's who I am. Me being a feminine energy, that's who I am. Like, I express my emotions through my tears sometimes, and that's okay. And I had to get to a place where when we got really close, I actually let him see that part of me. And I feel like at that time, like I feel like when I did just allow that to just even happen, I feel like my inner child was just so hurt. I feel like, you know what I'm saying, kind of like my reality had kind of been shattered a little bit, and it made me like want to go into a hole. Like I just felt I didn't feel safe anymore. Like I feel like my inner child didn't feel safe anymore, and it put me in a position where I had to be like, okay, are you gonna just let this go, or are you going to, because he tried to make me laugh several times and it wasn't happening. It didn't work this time, you know what I'm saying? So I had to get to a point where I had to really be vocal after I had assessed my own emotions, like you said. Like after I assessed my own emotions, I had to get to a place where I could actually be vocal about what had been said to me. Like, and I also, like we talked about on the last episode, being able to read between the words. I had to sit down and meditate on what was really being said to me. And was it really truth that I really didn't want to face, or I wasn't ready for? Or was I ready for it? It just, I wasn't ready for the emotions that was going to come behind it. You know what I'm saying? So I had to sit with those emotions, and I had to like really like realize like, okay, like I said before, this person loves me, and I know this to be true. So what is he really saying? You know what I'm saying? I had to real deal, like, assess my emotions, not suppress them. I had to get through that emotional phase, and then I had to get into what was actually being said to me, like what I actually had, like, collected or gathered subconsciously. So I had to, like, bring that all into, after, like, you know how you when you go through something, you kind of like, it's like you have to kind of like, it's broken down in layers, and you just have to be like, okay, like you said, like, okay, but why am I acting like this? I am this, but like, why am I acting like why am I being childish right now, or why am I in this emotional state right now? And I had to, like, real deal, like, and then after I did all of that, then the true answers come up. And sometimes that takes time. Sometimes that's not something that you can do in a night, because maybe he hit something, or your partner hit something that was very deep within you, something that was untapped, something that, um, something that you might not have thought was an issue, or you might not have thought that was something that needed to be addressed. So, and which means it's very deep within you. And sometimes with those deep rooted things comes deep rooted emotions. And it's okay for me to be this vulnerable with somebody that loves me, and I love them. So there are times where I feel like these are the times where the inner child, where you have to go in and do that inner child work, like you said, and actually, like, unfold, like, what the inner child has been holding on to. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I was thinking that everything was fine. You get it? Everything was fine. But internally, it really wasn't. He brought up more work that I needed to do on myself, which helped me to be able to understand him better, but also be able to understand myself better in a different light. I had to look at it from a different perspective. I had to put, girl, I'm so sick.
Well,
Nothing. My sister, she just put my plate on. I don't know why they
uh,
did down, but I had to, like, come to I had to do that work, that shadow work, that work that you think don't need to be done, but it really does need to be done because it's a thing. It's something that's coming up. It's something that's a reason why I'm feeling all of these emotions. It's a reason why I feel attacked. You know what I'm saying? But I'm really not being attacked. I'm just it's just not being said how I feel like it should be said to my inner child. My inner child felt like we should have took that a whole different way. But it was something the inner child was holding on to. And I had to understand that too. My inner child had been holding on to something that I had no idea about, you know? And so through doing that work, I was able to bring all that shit up. And it took me a couple of months to work through it. It wasn't like something that I could like meditate on and then, I brought up a lot of emotions. Like I went through every emotion I probably could have went through throughout that whole process, and that process of me processing the whole thing until I got to the truth. And when you get to the truth, it's something in you that says, okay, this is the truth. This is the rest of it was the illusion, but this right here, this is the truth. This is the root. This is the problem. This is the issue. This is what needs to be healed. This is what needs to be resolved. You know what I'm saying? And I don't feel like every person that you come into contact with can do that for you. Sometimes you need that raw truth. Sometimes you need that energy. You need it to come from your partner because this is the partner who you have a contract with for these types of things to come through. Anybody else, I would have said, nigga, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like real deal. I wouldn't have had no emotions. It wouldn't have hit me deep. It wouldn't have like been something that, ultimately helped me to transform and transmute something that was within me. Like everybody cannot mirror this type of healing to you. So it's like these things are what y'all are able to do for each other is so needed and it's so necessary. And it's so, especially when you are on a divine path to get to that next level. My life is about elevation. I want to elevate. I'm always appreciative of where I am. I'm always grateful for where I am. But my thing is I want to be my greatest and my best self. I want to be that. I want to embody that. It's my lifestyle. I want it to be my lifestyle. I want it to be my everyday. And that you can't do that just steady staying in the same energy all the time. You have to elevate. So my life is about elevation. Everything, what I can do, not anything, but the things that I am guided to do that help me to elevate. Those are the things that I'm attracted to. Those are the things that bring me closer to me. And I feel like on this divine partnership path, I have literally been brought so close to myself. I would have never imagined I would be this close, even through the eyes of another person. Even when I'm sitting there face to face with another person, I'm seeing my greatest and my best self when I'm talking to them. I'm seeing this person be able to mirror back these things to me so that I can literally elevate myself. That's why I chose this path. That's why I chose to stay on this path, because I'm not afraid of myself. It used to be a time where I was afraid to be me, afraid to, go deep within myself. It used to be a time where I didn't think I needed shit. You know what I'm saying? So to have a partner that can, kind of break you down, not in a negative way, but break you down in a good way, to where that you are able to work on these things within yourself, to where you are able to notice these things within yourself, is the most amazing. Is the most, like, it makes me so happy, like, to just be in this experience at all, because everybody is not experiencing it.
And it helps you also for the women, excuse me, tap more into your feminine energy. Like when you're able to hear
Why you
them,
so masculine?
you need to be able to hear out what they're saying to you to get you to do that reflection and
Mhm.
be able to, like you said, cry if you need to cry, because that's okay. Be able to still not be like boisterous and just overpowering and try to overtalk. Just listen. Like get into a place where listening is okay because it's going to give you what you need to hear in order for you to do the work. And sometimes, and I know me and my partner had this conversation the other day where we were talking about femininity in some women who have very powerful positions. And it's kind of hard for them to take direction because they're so used to controlling everybody else. So when they get into a relationship or even when they're just dating men, like they can't successfully be with someone in a relationship because they don't want nobody to tell them what to do. They don't want to see themselves. They don't want to hear nothing. It's like they can't balance out work and life. Like you can't be like this with your masculine. Like you have to
Mhm.
be like, but like I told them, I said they carry so much masculine energy, it's
Mhm.
hard for them to turn it off. And so throughout the years, just like we've shared before, throughout the years when you're, going through, if you're a single parent or you're just single and you have a lot of responsibilities and everything is on you, you got your own this, you got your own that, you taking care of the kids, you paying all the bills, like it's all on you. You're taking on a lot of masculine energy. So when you take that on and the masculine come out, he has to understand, like, okay, this is where she is, let me see if I can get her where she needs to go. And that's all that is when
Mhm.
they speak to you or try to redirect you. They're trying to get you where you need to go. Like they see where you need to be and where you need to go. So now it's, let me verbalize this. And it's
Mhm.
on us to take it in the feminine nature and feminine energy to be like, okay, let me see from what they see into me so I can do the necessary work and changes, and
Mhm.
being able to have those conversations and being able to take that in, be like, okay, let me take this in without me, feeling like I'm being attacked,
Yeah.
because it's not about the attack, it's more so of where I need to go. Like everything is for
Mhm.
where you need to move into,
Mhm.
not things that are holding you back. So anything that comes out is like, okay, like you said, my partner loves me. My partner cares about me. Like this is all for my greater good. Okay. My first
Mhm.
instinct, yeah, is to cry. Yeah, let me get that cry out, but then let me also take it in and let me move in a feminine energy. And if I can't have this like real conversation with him about who I am, where I am, and where I need to go, then there, like I said, there's still that inner child work, because like you said, you felt like you weren't protected. You felt like, hey, I let my inner child down by being in this space. And so that's the work that had to be shattered anyway. Like that had to be shattered in
Mhm.
order for you to elevate. Because like you said before, and I was the same way. Like it wasn't no way in hell like anybody could get me to this vulnerable state of crying, this vulnerable state of being very feminine, this vulnerable state of expressing my feelings openly. All of these were just things like, if he told me, if I was in a relationship and he told me he loved me, I tell him I love him too. But really feeling it and expressing it and them seeing it, like that was how I even had, I think my last relationship, he told me that he was like, I'm just not getting nothing from you. Like you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do this. And rightfully so, I wasn't feeling safe in the connection. I didn't
Mhm.
see it at the time, but there really wasn't any safety.
Mhm.
And a man or a masculine has to show you a level of safety for you to gradually grow into that. And
Mhm.
that's something that the warlocks need to also understand. This is not something she just gonna come through the gate and just give you her feminine energy. Like
Mhm.
this is something that you all have to cultivate as well. You have to cultivate a space in which someone who has to carry a lot of masculine energy can now feel free to let that go. And now they can feel free for you to hold the masculine energy and then them to fall fully into their feminine power. And that's a whole nother show I want to talk about I ain't gonna get into that, but that was a whole nother thing because that stemmed from a conversation I had Wednesday with my partner, and he and I was talking about that and dialoguing on that because he feels like what it takes. It's not only thing that a woman like that needs is just a stronger man, and I told him no, that is incorrect. But I'm gonna leave that for another show to talk about that because no, woman does not need a stronger man. A woman doesn't need like a high strong alpha male to hold. What she has to do is understand how to balance her masculine energy at work, entrepreneur, business, CEO, doctors, lawyers, whatever you are that hold high positions. You have to understand how to balance what you're doing in your high position at work, and then how you have to take that coat and hat and jacket and suitcase and throw that shit out the fucking window. And when y'all masculine tell you to shut up, you shut the fuck up. And a lot of women don't know how to do that. Because you
Man,
don't know how
what?
to do that, you don't have a man. And so I was having that conversation with him, and he was like, "Well, he said, you high strong." I said, "No." I said, you don't know the women that I'm talking about. I said, let me share. I said, because I know a lot of these women. And I said, I'm sharing with you because I know when you tell me to shut the fuck up, I shut the fuck up. Right? When you talking, I don't talk over you. When you tell me, come on, let's go, I follow. I don't try to lead. When you tell me we doing this, we doing this. We going your way. Like I respect your leadership. And
Yeah.
a lot of women don't respect the man leadership because they are the leaders all day. So if they leaders all day, they can't take that off. So I definitely want to have a whole nother conversation on that.
I got stuff to say
This,
about that.
huh?
I say, yeah, I got some stuff to say about that.
But yeah, that's a whole conversation that sparked up on Wednesday with he and I. They go into something else that I'm gonna share. It stemmed from something else that I'm gonna share. That's funny. That end up getting into that conversation, and I'm just like, I don't agree with you wholeheartedly on that, sir. I'm gonna have to like disagree with you on that, but I want us to talk about it from a divine connection and divine partnership, witches and warlocks talk on that because some women don't know how to turn off masculine energy.
hmm And I have experienced it from a different end of the, you're gonna lead me. You also are gonna know. You gotta know me. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't half-ass know me. You can't, partially know me. You got to know me. That way you know how to lead me. Because a lot of women are skeptical about men leading them because if you leading me in a harsh way, of course I don't want to follow you. Of course I'm like, like no, but even when I trust your leadership, you want me to be following behind you because I truly trust where you're taking me, or I trust that you're not gonna lead me into a goddamn off a cliff. You know what I'm saying? And that means that handling my emotions, handling me in a way that the way I need to be handled, just like I handle you in the way you need to be handled. I shut up when you say shut up. You know what I'm saying? If you say, no, I don't want to talk about this right now, okay, I'll give you a space. We don't talk about this right now. I come back at a later time, or, I allow you to bring it back up and where we can talk about it. But my problem, and I feel like a lot of women have this problem, is that, and I know you talking about alpha females, you talking about females that are just have their own everything, that are just doing, you know, um, businesses, they have their hands in a lot of things, don't really have time to date men, but I'm talking about, and it's just a space of knowing how to lead your person. Like that means that takes a level of studying your person. That takes, okay, how does she want to be led? How can I implement the way I lead into her life? Like, not just thinking that just because you a masculine male and you fine, and you know what I'm saying, you got a good head on your shoulders, not just assuming that that's going to make me submissive enough to follow you, because there has to be a level of safety. I have to feel safe. I have to feel like the decisions that you make are for the whole and not just for you. I have to, you know what I'm saying? It's just a lot that goes into what you're saying. That's a very good topic for
Well,
another
that's
day.
why I said he has to create the space.
Yeah, he
So
has to
before
create that.
it goes into me trusting your leadership, the initial foundation is him creating the space. So he
Mhm.
has to be intuitive and discerning enough to know how to create the space with the connection in whom he's with. And this
Mhm.
isn't something like that's going to be all out. It's small. It starts in small increments in the beginning of the late relationship, and then it builds. So it starts off with, you know, can you go give me something to drink? It could be, I'm just giving an example. Can you go to the kitchen and give me something to drink? He may ask her to go to the kitchen and grab him something to drink. And she may say, well, why don't you go? You closer. Why don't you go get it yourself? You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's a small increment. That's kind of like the setting stage. Or be like, oh, okay, baby, yeah, enjoy the game. I go get what you want. You know what I'm saying? And that's being able to let go and see, or he may say, hey, go. You may be driving, be like, hey, we go this way. No, I'm gonna go this way. No, well, I wanted you to go this way because I was getting ready to stop over here so I could pick you up this. You know, so it's those small little increments and trusting his leadership.
Yeah.
Sometimes, now I'm gonna say it because this is gonna go to another conversation, but I'm saying sometimes you have to trust and trust in yourself, not more so them, but trust
Yeah.
in your intuitive knowing beside, okay, I'm gonna just go with it. Let's see why the fuck he want me to go this way. And just go
Yeah.
and just see for yourself. Why is it? Because a man that's not as spiritually elevated is going to see where your head is, to see how much leeway he has in you being able to be led.
Yeah.
And then he can set the foundation for more leadership along the way, as he sees that you trust him as a leader and you respect him as a leader. It'll start off with, baby, cut the TV off, or baby, go give me a drink, or go this way. I want you to go over this way so we pick this up. He may not even tell you why, but
Mhm.
he's doing this trying to get an understanding of where you are with being able to be led. If every time he asks you to do something and it's combative, or it comes back as you do it for yourself instead of you just doing it, even for the simplest things. And I'm not saying this man is going to be the all out best leader in the world, and he just,
Right.
I'm not even saying that, but I'm saying for him to know, but this is also for you.
Yeah.
Be like, okay, I'm gonna go and get him this drink. Let's see where this gonna go. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
gonna go cut the TV off. Let's see what this gonna lead to. Like
And it's a relief.
I will go ahead and do certain things in the beginning stages of the connection, just
Mhm.
so I could see his style. First of all, you need to know his style of leadership. Does his style of leadership even match up with yours? Some
Mhm.
styles of leadership don't match up with yours, reason being you're not with those people.
Mhm.
So you got to understand the style of leadership, and he understand. Men know the type of woman they with when they get with that type of woman. Believe you me, they know you headstrong, you strong. That's probably one of the reasons why they even attracted to you. So that's
Mhm.
already understood. What he's trying to see is, how can I get her to break down this wall so she ain't trying to be the man all the time, and
Mhm.
allow me just a little bit of leeway so I can move us forward. And I can't do that if she gonna be wearing the pants and me the pants too. Like, we both can't be running this train. And it's funny because I
It's
always
true.
play, I
It's
always
true.
play with my dude because I just fuck with him because we was what we was at. Oh yeah, we was out bouncing with his friends, and he gonna say, Dick drive this car, not pussy. And he got that off of the movie. And I said, "Oh yeah, you said I heard you say Dick drive this car." He said, "That's my movie." So I always say, he'll be like, "Well, where you want to go?" I don't know. Dick drive this car. So you figure. I don't know. Dick drive this car. So I always, anytime you
Yeah.
Dick drive this, you said it. So I'll make you hold to it. But it's just funny. You have to understand your partner. And in the beginning stages, it's not just about them telling you what to do, but it's also you adhering just so you can see where is this actually going to lead to. If he leads me to some bullshit, I know next time, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, right? So I know the second time, I might question you. And then rightfully so. Now I got some backup. Be like, why ain't you that extra? Well, the last time I did this, you end up getting us lost. And I
Yeah.
went away and it didn't work out. So now I even question you even know your sense of direction. I'm gonna throw it back on him. So now he gotta know he gotta sharpen the fuck up. So because I did do what you said, remember? I went left. We got lost going left. So now I know I can't listen to you. You gonna have to let me see. I gave you your chance and it didn't work out. So this is gonna help him because men are hunters. They're always trying to level up and be better. If you're not letting them do that and be a man and be better, then you ain't really giving them the game that they want.
Yeah. You're not holding space for them.
You're not holding space for them. So I'm like, I'm gonna follow you the first time. Fuck up. I'm gonna make sure you know the second time that you did fuck up and why I may not listen to you the second time. We're gonna listen to me. Now, third time you want to come with it, you're gonna have to explain to me why did you quit? Well, what? Okay. Well, you better not get us lost this time. And then they gonna know that they better be on their shit. They know what they talking about because they done fucked up before. So they really gonna make sure that they're like, but it goes in stages, and that's why I want to go back to the origination of how I came up with this whole conversation. When we do another episode, I'm gonna go back to the whole beginning of how this conversation came into play, and then we gonna take it on. But it's gonna be a great heated conversation for sure. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, because we got a lot to talk about on there. There's a lot to unpack with it right there.
Oh yeah, it's a lot on both sides, on the masculine and the feminine side. It's a lot. It's a lot to unpack, and it's a lot of revelation that comes out on both ends on why there's this tug of war in relationships and who does what, who is who, why shouldn't you do, and especially with women who've been single for so long. And they're in the spirituality, and you're in spirituality and you're doing the inner work, but you're still single. Like I really want to touch
You
on
are really complaining about this exact subject that you're talking about. There's a lot of women that need that information because they are like, why am I still single? Like I got the education. I'm like, I cook, I clean, I do this. Like I've healed myself on many levels, but I'm still single. A lot of women have have that question.
we're gonna talk about it. I'm ready. Single and spiritual. We gonna
Yeah.
we gonna talk about it. I got some stuff that I definitely want to share. That I'm gonna see how it's received, but I definitely want to share because I come from a space where yes, I have to tell people what to do all the fucking time. Like I tell people what to do all the fucking time. But then I learned once I got in a connection, and this only happened in this connection. After a while, after several years, and I had to learn how to kind of step back. And sometimes we think we're stepping back, but we're not. And that's what I want to talk about. Like from your own perspective, you'll think you're stepping back and you're not. And it was certain things that has been said over the years within a relationship that made me step back even more. And then give him the table to let, and then giving him access to the table, then he gives me access to the throne.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand the the dynamic. I'm starting to understand the dynamic more of how it works, more so than not being in a relationship and you think that you have all these attributes, but it's something that you're missing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know what that is, it has nothing to do about the money, the cars, the title, like all of that. It has
Yeah.
it has something to do with where you are within your character and how you relate in connections.
Because
And
a
I
lot of women
really,
are mean and they don't even know it.
huh?
Or a lot of women are mean and they don't even know it.
They don't
Or
even know
they'll know they mean, but they think that that's how they supposed to be.
it. They
Like
don't
you
even.
cannot meet no divine partner being mean. Like I don't know, it's a lot of women out here that's spewing that bullshit about men like mean women and all that bullshit. And truth be told, a certain type of man likes angry women. A man that's looking for partnership, that wants to love on you, that is looking for a better half, is not with that bullshit.
Mm-mm.
You know, uh,
Yeah, I say a fetish is a fetish, but when it
yeah,
comes down to a connection, something that's real, that's different. Fetish could be a fetish. That could go for anything.
if you mean to them, you mean to you.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna tap into that. We'll tap into that on the next live, so we can go deep into it. And y'all can really get into it. But yeah, we did an hour 45 tonight on the inner child work, inner divine connection, and how to really, and why we really should get into that. But we're gonna next episode we're gonna scale it back a little bit and go deep into those who may not have those divine connections. And then what is it, some things that we can look at on why that is, why you all may not be drawing in that divine connection that you're seeking, and you feel like you've done the work, but it's some work that you haven't done. So
Yeah, it happens to the best of us.
it does. It happens to the best of us. I promise you, it does. It happens. It happens to me. But I've been around enough men. I've dated enough men. I talked to enough men that I have more of an understanding, especially what it is that all of them, no matter what level they're on, no matter how much money they make, no matter what they do, like it's a central theme that reigns true with all of
Mhm.
these men.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay, then.
central thing. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get into it. Next episode, single and spiritual. So yeah, we had a great talk tonight. Whenever you watch this, like Galactic Honey said, it's timeless. It's timeless. And we'll see you next week on Witches and Warlocks.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe. Witches and Warlocks. Peace.